Full confidence in your vehicle comes with time, comes with experience, comes with seeing how it performs in multiple different circumstances, environments, and conditions. And while the Burb has about 14,000 miles on it, most of that has been highway. It's had some off-road out in Death Valley and locally, but it hasn't really been pushed in either adverse weather conditions or extreme terrain or a combination of the two. Well, I wanted that confidence, knowing that my truck could get through whatever I threw at it. And so we took it out to Utah for a trip to the snow. We spent a week in the southern mountains of Utah between Bryce and Zion. We got a lot of snow, and the truck got stuck several times. But we always got out, and it pulled plenty of other vehicles out. And overall, we had a phenomenal trip. And I'm now confident that the truck is truly performing the way I envisioned it. I couldn't be more excited. It was a killer trip. Let me go show you some video of how bad we got stuck. Let's go get it. Okay, so this is my throttle. You can see my throttle cable right there, and then it connects down to that spring through this rod. But the problem is this rod is right-hand thread, and so are both of these, meaning that as I loosen or tighten, it just threads it down into one end, and see, it comes out. And so what was happening is, because I don't have any set screws on here, or any lock screws, lock nuts on there, it would just rattle itself out and flop down. Well, surprise, surprise, my throttle cable is being obstinate again. Remember from my trip up to Montana how I had to replace the spring with my daughter's hair tie? Well, I've done better this time. I've got that rod in there, you see that? But it keeps backing out and I keep losing throttle. I couldn't find, that's a 1/4" 28 threaded rod, and I couldn't find a nut to fit it. Yeah, I should have looked harder. Because now I keep on having to stop, but I think I'm going to fix it with tons of zip ties. Sitting here in Zion on our way to our cabin that is between here and Bryce. So right in between two national parks. Burb's done great. We've been averaging about 16 miles to the gallon. We left early this morning. It's going to end up being about 600 miles, but we're sitting in some traffic. Getting into Zion, as we pass, well, actually not getting into Zion, as we pass through Zion, which, just look, you guys, Zion is absolutely spectacular. If you haven't been to Zion, put it on your list. It's probably I think it's my third or fourth time passing through here, and every time I'm blown away by it. Anyway, Burb has done good. My fix of the throttle cable seems to be holding, knock on wood. And yeah, Burb's done great. It's been comfortable for everyone, I think. No one's complaining. And yeah, as long as we get there, it's a successful trip in my books. Ooh, we're moving. When we planned this trip several months ago, I was super stoked because we're going to be near two of my favorite national parks, Bryce Canyon and Zion. And the hope was we'll be able to hit both of them up and take a look at them, and also make a trip to Brian Head to do some snowboarding, maybe go rent some snowmobiles and just explore. Now, I was also aware that the weather is fickle, and as it closed in on the dates, I saw that there was a big storm approaching. And so I was pretty much resigned to the fact that we might just be hanging out in the cabin, which is totally fine with me. It was a long drive to get there, though. And the first day we did venture out. It was overcast, but not too bad. And we decided, let's go try snowboarding. Well, by the time that we navigated the road, the highway to get to Brian Head from our house, our cabin, the conditions had changed and it was no longer going to be a good day to take my kids snowboarding. So we turned around and headed back. But it wasn't before some drama. It was so beautiful up there. I just couldn't help but trying to capture some video for you guys. And this is what happened. We seem to be a little stuck. Take your eye off the road for a second. Jiminy Christmas. Yeah, that's a good stuck. Okay. If you look closely up ahead, you'll see a couple trucks. These guys came by right after we got stuck, and I flagged them down to yank me out. Otherwise, we'd probably still be digging. Okay, so last time I shot a video for you guys, I crashed into a snowbank, and my kids were giving me all kinds of grief. So this better be worth it. Yeah. Look at this. Apparently this is a state highway. Coming up on 10,000 feet. Yeah, the truck's running good. Got out of the snowdrift. But you can't see much. While a project is never done, there are usually a couple critical things that need to be addressed before I go on a big road trip. One of which was my engine or transmission cross member. I recently did a trip up to Pismo with full-size Invasion, and my cross member was really hammering my front drive shaft, double cardon by the transfer case. I just didn't have enough space, any relief, and so it was banging away. I also didn't like the way it was supporting. It was a very quick and dirty cross member that I built when I put this thing in. I've been meaning to do it for a year. And after experiencing after experiencing Pismo and all the clattering and clanging that my front drive shaft did, I knew it had to be fixed before we went up to the snow, because I was going to be in four-wheel drive quite a bit. So let me show you what I'm talking about here and what we ended up doing. Here's the challenge I've had with the engine, transmission, drivetrain combo. You see, it's a lot of things. This is the Tremec TR4050. That's a 203 reduction box, so half of a 203. And then there's a 205 behind that. So this is a big, heavy beast of a unit that makes it difficult to really get a strong, clean, nice cross member. It's not clocked properly, and the holes on the adapter are pretty hogged out, so this is the only clocking I have available to me, which is ugly, and I did not like it. So this was my solution. This is the cross member this is the transmission support for the Tremec. And I thought if I can capture that, if I can tie into that guy, we will be set. So that's what I did. This guy is tied in. It's now supporting the transfer case and the transmission. But the clutch thing is, the transmission is not bolted tightly. You know, it's secured. You can see that bolt up there. It's secured, but it doesn't have any bumpers or anything to stop it moving around, which will help preserve the case from tearing if there is any torsional twisting from the engine. I also took the time to clearance out substantially the cross member. Now I need to pull it off, paint it, clean it up, figure some stuff out, but that worked. With the cross member clearance, I didn't have any issues with rattling or bouncing. I'm stoked I took care of this piece. Having the Burb up in the snow was awesome because I knew that we could pretty much go anywhere we wanted. If I had a winch, we could have truly gone anywhere we wanted. But that meant that we explored every day. We'd usually go out and drive somewhere and try and not get stuck, and then come back and partake in the age-old tradition of bombing hills on sleds. As my kids have gotten older, this has gotten more and more gnarly. And dude, it's rad to watch them just keep pushing it. The storm was rolling in. We called it a night, and then we got up in the morning and found some POW. Oh! What? Bro, that last minute ditch, epic. What a killer way to start the new year with a trip up to the southern mountains of Utah. So we are about an hour from Zion, an hour from Bryce Canyon. Middle of nowhere, to be honest. Anything south of here, there's nothing till you hit the Grand Canyon. It is a slice of wilderness, and it is fantastic. So this is the first real test of snow for the Burb. Got a little bit of snow in Montana last year, but it was just, enough to get the ground wet. But we got about a foot so far. Leaving tomorrow. Probably get another foot between now and then. And there's the driveway that we got to get up.
Driveway I've got to get up.
Yeah, he's got to get up. My buddy's got to get up in his rental Jeep. And my brother's got to get out in his Acura. So I think I'm going to be playing Mr. Plow tomorrow. Getting us up and out of here. But dude, I gotta say, the Burb has done fantastic. Apart from that one time I got stuck in the snow because I took my eye off the road. 16 miles to the gallon, just cruises, pitting four-wheel drive high a couple times to get out of the driveway and through some other deep snow. But apart from that, no problems. It's running cold. The engine is running cold. I need to put some bags in front of the radiator to heat it up with this weather, because going downhill or going on the flat when it's 28 degrees, you don't keep any heat in the engine. But regardless, it's a blast. Super quiet, super beautiful. Yeah. Happy New Year, guys. The journey home proved to be the biggest test for the Burb. Well, actually, it was the biggest test for me. It was a 14-hour day that began at 6 a.m. when we got up and started working our way up the driveway so we could get out. You see, my buddy was flying back, and he had to get over to Cedar City, and so we had to get him out before it was too late for his flight. So we got up early, and we put the Burb to work, and we got it stuck. I still need more experience in the snow. I couldn't see too much because it was pretty dark, and it was the beginning of a very, very long day. Once we did get the truck out and cleared the path for him by backing up and down it multiple times, he was able to get out just fine. But man, it was probably 2 hours to get up and over to Cedar City and the 15 to take us to Vegas. And then we sat out in 2 hours of traffic leaving Vegas, heading up to State Line, which is just the bane of my existence. I cannot handle traffic. I don't like crowds and large groups of people, and traffic is just kind of like a culmination of some of my least favorite things. But anyway, a long day. We were in for a lot more traffic as we came over, but that kind of brings me to my point. The Burb did not even break a sweat. I mean, throughout the whole day, it probably idled or ran for about 16 hours. It covered 600 miles. I filled up once. It rained. It was super windy. We had gnarly snow to go through, and we had a long journey to cover. And it crushed it. Everyone was comfortable. Temperature was good. Truck did not hiccup once. This was what I wanted. This was the test that I needed, and it basically reiterated to me or underscored to me that the weak link in this truck is not the truck. It's this guy right here. I was worked by the time we got home. Part of that was just traffic and driving a big, heavy truck with no traction control and shifting thousands of times, but I wouldn't change it for a thing. It was rad. Family loved it. Memorable trip. Burb did great. What more can you ask for? But let's go show you just how much drama we had getting out, because it was pretty fun. Well, snow is a little deeper than expected, but I think we're looking good. Let's get the Burb started. Atta girl.
It's a lot of cold. That's easy. Yep.
We got about, I'm guessing probably 2 feet of snow. But there's some big drifts in a couple places. If I can get out onto the road, we should be good. This is the part where I brag about the Burb. I wanted to have a truck that could do exactly what it did this weekend. Could transport everyone safely. It could extract other vehicles. It could remain stable, safe, and in control in inclement weather. It would get decent gas mileage. It would carry all our stuff. It would have plenty of power to get through whatever terrain or whatever was thrown at it. And quite honestly, the only weak link in the Burb was me. The only time it needed to get pulled out, apart from the snow, well, that was me too. I probably could have lined up my shot on the driveway better. But running down a list of things that still need a little bit of attention, I'll show you guys these shortly. My return line on my power steering to the box popped off on a cold start, and it was just hose clamped on, so I'm going to swap that out for a braided line like I had before. I ruptured that line when I was picking up a truck up in the high desert last summer, and so I replaced it with I replaced it with just a piece of line that I had, so that needs to be repaired. The other issue was my throttle. I just need to put some lock screws on there, lock nuts, to tighten that down. And that's it. The Burb monstered. So I did 1,300 miles. That took 79 gallons of gas, which is roughly 16.7 miles to the gallon. So I'm going to round up. I'm going to call that 17 miles to the gallon. And that 17 miles to the gallon was all conditions. That was a lot of traffic. So we left yesterday 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, or Mountain Standard Time, whatever. It was 9 a.m. in Utah, so 8 a.m. in Cali. So left at 9 a.m. in Utah. We rolled back to the house here in Cali, got home around 11, so midnight. So that was a 14-15 hour day. Yeah, it was gnarly. Biggest issue was just heavy traffic. Now, it did take us some time to work our way down the mountain. We were at around 9,000 feet, and so there was heavy snow. Probably got 2 feet while we were there. So working our way down, we took our time because there was snow plows everywhere, a ton of holiday traffic, and that's what we ran into everywhere. If you've ever sat in the middle of nowhere, i.e. the Mojave Desert between Vegas and Barstow, in traffic, with nothing happening and just sitting there idling, that is frustration. I really had a hard time yesterday. I don't do well with traffic. I don't do well with large groups and metropolises and things like that. The less people and the more wide open space, the better. But regardless, we're home. I'm thrilled on how the Burb did. Once again, my family's a rock star. They always hang tough on these trips. They don't let stress get to them. They don't let anxiety build with how we're gonna get out of whatever situation I've got us into, and they just roll with it. So huge blessing. Here's to 2023. I'm looking forward to this year. It's gonna be a good one. It's a super satisfying feeling to finish a build that you've been dreaming about for years. It's been about 5 years for me on this project. I first started scheming about the Burb about 5 years ago. I was contacted by a seller who said, I have the Burb that you want. I picked it up, I collected parts for a couple of years, and then I spent about a year throwing it together. I took it to Montana right as soon as I'd finished it to kind of just like put it through its paces and see what it could do. And it was rough. It needed a lot of tweaking, a lot of upgrades, and I've been banging those out over the past year. I've taken the truck on a lot of trips between then and now, but since the first voyage, it's got AC. I put full sound deadening in it. I fixed a lot of the little issues. I upgraded the shocks, basically got it to the point where it is today. And this trip was validation that it was done correctly. So for those of you out there struggling through your projects, grinding, just keep grinding. Put your head down and keep pushing. You will finish your build. You will get it out there on the road, and you will make memories with your family. You just got to buckle down and get it done. Anyway, this was a great trip. Really cool to have the Burb. Keep my whole family safe. I'm going to link up here to my video on Montana. That was the first trip we took in this thing. It had, I think, 200 miles on it when we rolled out. So yeah, that one was full of adventure. And I'm also going to put my subscribe button up there so you can click that and do me a solid. We'll see you next week. Merricks Garage.